Okay, let's go on to the next tshuva. Yeah. Okay. Ibeid agil echad kama alav l'shalem. If I'm not mistaken, an agil is a bracelet. Let me just, a lot of these a lot of these tshuvas revolve around jewelry. Jewelry is big in the Sephardi community. So, there's a lot of guys that are in the jewelry business and among the Sephardim. So it's not surprising that a lot of these shilas come up, have to do with, so let me just double check. Agil. Sorry. No. Hebrew. There we go. Oh, sorry. Agil is an earring. My mistake. Okay, so it's an earring. Okay. Natati litzarev sheyatakin li zug agilim. I gave to the jeweler a pair of earrings so that he could fix the earrings. All right, now it makes more sense. And I can definitely relate to this, okay? Because my wife has done this before. Sometimes, let's say the thing that goes in the ear, it needs to be adjusted or something like that. Sheshavim $400. The pair of earrings is a $400 pair of earrings. V'hu ibeid echad mehem, and he lost one earring. Okay, so now the question is, can you give the other earring to Michael Jackson? And yeah, right. So kishahalachti liknot od agil. So when I went to buy another earring, hamachir liyachid hu $250. But the replacement value of just one earring is $250, not $400. Okay,
not 200, not half.
Yeah, and not 200. V'hatzorev rotze l'shalim lirak $200. Kevin shezug agilim shavim 400 v'nimtza shekol agil shavim 200. And the jeweler says, I only owe you 200. It's a $400 pair of earrings. I lost one, so I should only have to pay you 200. And I'm saying the replacement value is $250 because that's how much I have to pay out of pocket in order to replace it. Kama alav l'shalem li. How much does he have to pay me? This gets into replacement value versus true value. All right, gentlemen, what do you say before we look at the tshuva? 250. Mordechai says 250. 250. 250. Anyone want to say 200? Do I hear 225? Split.
That would be the compromise position.
That would be the compromise position, right? Okay, so you're the Dayan in the Beis Din, so you're gonna paskin. Marv, what's the any reflection on secular law?
Yeah, I'd say you have to replace the whole set.
What do you mean the whole set?
Both the replacement value for the two.
But why do you have to then she's going to have 3 earrings, but she's only got 2 ears. Yeah.
One second. Only one was lost. What was it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh man, it's distracting in Eretz Yisrael. Yeah, only one of the earrings was lost.
Yeah. Okay. So, but she's now lost the value of the set. So
that's right. So the jeweler only wants to pay for half the value of the set because he lost half the set. But the cost of just replacing one earring is $250.
Needs to be made whole.
So right. So is it the question you have to make the person whole or pay them the value of the damage? So that's really the question. So Hagimara, let's take a look at the tshuva. Hagimara omeret b'maseches bava metzia sha'adam shemocher margalit. So if a person sells a pearl, l'das Reb Yehuda ein boze ona'a, kevin sheyitachen sheyavalo eza adam sheyesh lo margalit tova, umevakesh od echat acheret kimota, umuchan l'shalem yoter mehamachir kedei lezavga imzu. So the Gemara is discussing the laws of ona'ah. And we know ona'ah, we've studied the laws of ona'ah, overcharging someone for an object of value. If I sell someone a pearl, I'm not subject to the laws of ona'ah because it could very well be that a person would like to buy 2 pearls and he only has 1, and he'd be willing to pay more in order to be able to pair the pearl that I'm selling with the pearl that he already has. Lachein lo shayach bazeh din ona'ah, ki yesh anashim shemuchanim l'shalem aleha harbe kesef. In other words, the Gemara's surmisal is that there's no law of ona'ah on something that has a variable price because some people are willing to pay more for it, some people willing to pay less for it. Avol Rabbanan cholkim v'sovrim shebechol davar nemar shebechol davar nomar imrotze lezavgo ula olam lo yihi din ona'ah. So the Chachamim say, by that argument, you could say that there's no ona'ah for any commodity, because you never know how much people are going to be willing to pay in the event that they need pinklach, that specific item. Yeah. So, in other words, ona'ah is only a thing if there's a fair market value that can be assessed upon a commodity. But if every time you're going to say, well, you never know, someone may really need wheat that day, and therefore there's no law of ona'ah on wheat. Or someone may need a pearl very badly that day, and there's no law of ona'ah, So therefore, it's a machlokas Rabbi Yehuda and the Chacham. Umizeh hochiach hagon Rabbi Eliyahu Yisrael olav hashalom b'sifra kol Eliyahu. So on that basis, Rabbi Eliyahu Yisrael, who I'm not familiar with, it must be again a Sephardi posek, she nidon didan talui b'machlokes Rabbi Yehuda v'Rabban. That it's a machlokes. It's the question here is a machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabban. De la Rabbi Yehuda kevin sherotze lezavgan ein bozeh ona'ah. So Rabbi Yehuda's opinion that if a person's needs to find an item so that he can pair it with another item, it's not subject to the laws of ona'ah. Hu hadin de'ein tzarech l'shalem et yerida ta'erech sheyitachen sheyimtza adam sheyesh lo agil echad sherotze lezavgo. So similarly over here, see, he's looking at it from the opposite point. He's saying that, like, what loss of value have I caused you by giving you back only 1 earring when you gave me 2 earrings to fix? By giving you back 1 earring, you're saying that the only way that I can replace, the damage that you caused, you reduced the value of my earring set from 400 now to 150, because I need $250 in order to make the set whole. But not necessarily so. Maybe you'll find someone who will need 1 earring, and therefore it's worth. I've only caused you $150 of damage, because you could sell that 1 earring for $250, just like somebody else could. But the Chachamim say no, that we don't say that maybe you'll find someone, etc. And therefore, you're going to have to pay the reduction in value of this earring set, which is no longer a set, but it's a single earring, and and therefore you have to pay the full reduction, which is $250. So it's an interesting argument. I'm not sure if I hear the argument so well, because yes, it's true that a single earring, a single earring has very little value. It's not that marketable because very few people want a single earring. In other words, the marketplace, in other words, the argument that we're making here is, how do you assess the loss of value? There has to be a marketplace for the thing now that has returned to me. And if the marketplace is very limited, I think that's really the argument that's being made, is that since the marketplace is very limited according to the Chachamim, so then it's not something that you can say, well, if I needed to replace it, I'd have to pay $250. So therefore, maybe I could find someone else who would be willing to pay $250.
So on that,
Rabbi, in secular law, the court would not require the innocent party to mitigate their loss by selling the other earring. That would be unreasonable.
That would be, yes, I hear what you're saying. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, sorry, but in this case, there's no comment about product appreciation. We don't know what the time difference was from when he originally bought it for $400 the pair to when he lost it.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, we'd have to assume. Yeah. No.
Gone up, and that might be a reason why it's $250 now.
No, I don't think that's the argument. I think he would have told us that.
I have a better solution. Why doesn't the person who lost the earring sell what he has remaining for $250 if there's such a market for that, and then pay $400 to the person who lost it? But there's no market for $250. That's the problem. You're asking the loser to.
That's right.
But you don't know the earrings. Well, yeah,
Like if there's such a market that you could sell it for $250, then let the person who lost it sell his remaining one and then pay $400. But there's no market like that.
Right. That's really the point.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's take a look quickly at the Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda Omer. This is from the Gemara in Bava Metzia 58b. Even in the case of one who sells a Torah scroll, a pearl, or an animal, those items are not subject to the halachas of ona'ah, of exploitation. It is taught in a brisa that Rabbi Yehuda says, even in the case of one who sells a Torah scroll, it is not subject to ona'ah, as there is no limit to its value. It is the Torah of God, which is priceless. So that's when it comes to a Torah scroll. You can't say that you ripped me off because a Torah scroll is priceless. An animal and a pearl are not subject to the halachas of ona'ah because a person seeks to pair them. An animal is paired with an animal of similar strength so that they can be yoked together to work in the field. A pearl is paired with a similar pearl to fashion jewelry. Since there is a need to obtain a specific variant of these items, one is not particular about the price. But the brisa continues and it says, the Chachamim said to him, but isn't it the case that with regard to every item, a person may seek to pair them with similar items under certain circumstances? According to your explanation, the halachas of ona'ah would never apply. The Gemara asks, and what does Rabbi Yehuda respond to that question? He claims that these are significant to a person, but those and other commodities are not significant. In other words, it is particularly important to find a precise match for an animal and a pearl. The Gemara then continues to analyze Rabbi Yehuda, and up to how much can one deviate from the value of items for which ona'ah does not apply, as Rabbi Yehuda is clearly not saying that any deviation is acceptable. A Meimar said one can deviate up to double their value.
There is an aspect.
So there is a limit, but it's not the 1/6 that is standard. But it seems like but the Chachamim disagree, right? The Chacham still disagree, say that everything, and therefore, so therefore, ulahalacha pasak maran b'shulchan aruch shebechol davar yesh ona'ah afilu b'margalis, that with any commodity there is subjectivity to ona'ah, even a pearl. Upasak chachamim lafu k'mei Rabbi Yehuda, and he paskins like the Chachamim to the exclusion of Rabbi Yehuda. Umemela yotze shechayiv hatzoref l'shalem milavad demei ha'agil gam et ha'erech sheyarad ha'agil shenishar yichidi, and therefore it turns out that the jeweler who lost the singular earring has to pay for whatever he caused a reduction of the value of the commodity that the customer is left with. If a singular earring is worth only 150, so then the jeweler has to pay 250. Because, in other words, we're looking at it from the perspective of how much loss did you cause me by losing my earring? If the only way that I can get a pair of earrings to wear is by paying $250 replacement, so then the value that you have to pay me is $250. That's the way it would come up. It would come out. V'chein kasav b'shut to'afot re'eim shemishalim lo lefi hanezek shegaram lo. You have to pay for whatever loss you caused me. And apparently, the way that you assess loss is saying what I had previously was worth X, and now what I'm left with is X minus Y, right? So X minus something. So whatever value I'm left with, you take the difference between the current value and the value that it was before you inflicted the damage, and that's what you have to pay me. So the way that you look at it, in other words, which is quite interesting. What happens if someone damages my car? Do you look at the way that what it's going to cost to repair it? Or do you look at the depreciation on the resale value of the car? So apparently, we're saying that you look at the depreciation of the resale value. Now, it could sometimes be that the depreciation is equivalent to whatever it's going to cost to get it fixed. But sometimes that's not going to be the case. Sometimes the depreciation is actually more than the cost of getting it fixed, right? Because as we all know, let's say someone's in a front-end collision, okay, and it's not his fault. So in that kind of situation, the alignment is shot. So even if you take it to a body shop and you get the car fixed, it may cost $1,000 to get the car fixed, but the depreciation on the car may be $2,000.
There's a stigma on the car now too, right? Because it's been in an accident.
Yeah, the car's been in an accident, right? Exactly.
That hurts its
That's right.
resale value.
It hurts its resale value. So what we're saying is that it's not, you don't pay me, you as a mazik do not pay me for the cost. It's not just replacement. I mean, I guess in a car, it's hard to say replacement value, but you have to pay me for the differential in what the car was worth before you did the damage versus what it's worth now. That's how you evaluate loss. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Marv, does that make sense?
Yeah, you call that diminution in value.
Diminution in value.
Yeah,
Okay.
to the extent to which the value has diminished, that's the difference you have to pay. And that would be the normal measure of damages, except when you're dealing with insurance companies on cars particularly. They use different values, the replacement value, the diminution in value, the salvage value, all kinds of values in the insurance policy. But generally, without that policy or contract that makes a difference in how you calculate the damage, it would be diminution in value.
So that's what we're dealing with over here. It's diminution in value.
Right.
And that's the criterion that Poskin, that is the poskim are saying. And so therefore, you look at it's not so much that you look at what is it going to cost me to buy another earring. You say, what is the cost, what is the value of the earring set when it's only one earring that I'm left with? And that's how you determine the amount that the damager has to pay, that the jeweler in this case has to pay.
Well, so just going back to the full case that you have the example of this case, how are we getting a different answer then between how some in rule and the other wouldn't be enough for someone saying?
Well, so are you asking how we're applying this machlokas Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim to our case?
I think if we left with if the answer is that it's like 250,
Yeah,
I think that both of them will come up with the same answer.
you think that both of them will come up with
Well,
the same answer?
I'm just trying to figure out how they're going to come up
What the
with it.
difference-
I
Well,
would've thought-
well,
I would have
the-
thought that the Chachamim would have ruled only $200.
The Chachamim are clearly going to hold that the jeweler has to pay 250 because they say that you look at the objective market value of a singular earring to determine the amount of loss that was caused. It's Rebbe Yehuda who's the one that according to him, the jeweler might argue, you never know. Your singular earring may not be worth just 150. Maybe it'll be worth 200 or 250 to someone who has this who wants to buy just one earring. Yeah. So it's what? Okay. So therefore, v'lachein b'nidon didan yechayev masayim $50. There's a typo there, right? Ve'afal pisha zerak grama ugrama b'nezikin potter. And even though you could say that this is only causative damage because the loss that I've caused you, maybe you should just take a look at the item that was lost, right? But hakaimelon sheshomrim chayavim l'shalim gam bigrama v'lachein chayiv l'shalim et melo hanezek. But a shomer is liable to pay even for causative damage. In other words, the argument that he's making is that, well, this is just causative because really you should take a look at the objective value of a single earring, and that's how much I should pay you. You know how much a single earring is worth? Half of what 2 earrings is worth. That's the objective value. And anything else that I've caused, as far as, well, the fact that, what are you going to do with a single earring? Not my problem. That's causative. No, we don't say shomer is liable for even causative damage. And therefore you have to pay the full amount. L'umat zot. Now, let's contrast this. So before we go any further, first of all, we have to realize that we're going to see a machlokus in this issue. It's not so clear cut. So, but let's take a look at the Makor Baruch for just a second. He says, "Ayin b'shut kol Eliyahu sham shekasav, ladun b'chihai gavna." He says that in the Kol Eliyahu sefer that we first quoted, he has the exact same case. Shaha'agilim kishayu biyachad, hayu shavim derech mashal meya, v'achar shenevad echad mehem yarad erko shel ha'agil hanishar lishloshim b'makom chamishim. In his case, a pair of earrings was worth 100, and with only one earring left, the singular earring is not worth 50; it's worth only 30. The alkain dana kol Eliyahu kama ala uman l'shalim, and therefore the question is, how much does the jeweler have to pay? Ayim chayav rak shloshim al ha'agil hane'avad kiven shezeh erko shel agil boded. You can argue, I'll pay you for the value of one earring. One earring is sellable for $30, okay? And just because that's its value, right? O shechayav chamishim kevin shezeh haya shavyo b'Choshen evad kevin shehayachad in ben zugo. Or does he have to pay 50 because that's what its value was when it was together with its partner, with the other earring? V'hela dechayav l'shalim chamish, and he said you have to pay 50. V'hevi raya lazeh mehadaisa b'bava metzia. And he brought proof from another Gemara in Bava Metzia, just a page later. Misha gazal chavis shel tamarim. If a person steals a barrel of dates, shemochim chavis shlema bi'arboim v'teisha zuz. A full barrel of dates sells for 49 zuz. V'imochim kol tamar b'nifrad. But if you sell each date separately, as nimkeret kol hachavis b'chamishim zuz, then each date is $1. But there's only 40. There's 50 dates in a barrel, and if you sell the whole barrel, you can get it for $49. But if you sell each date separately, you pay $50. So how much does the guy who stole the barrel have to pay? Does he pay 49 or 50? V'omar Shmuel shechayv rak arboim v'teisha. So and Shmuel in the Gemara Paskins that you only pay 49 because you stole the whole barrel. The Hiksha Abaya, Lama Baal HaChavis Lo Yachol Lomar, Shuhu Haya Mocher Kol Tamar B'nifrad. And so Abaya asks the question, what if the guy who is the owner of the barrel says, I was going to sell retail. I mean, I have a date store and I sell dates individually. I don't sell them by the barrel. So I could have gotten 50 bucks for this entire barrel. And you should have to pay me 50, not just 49. The teretz Rav Huna shezeh gezeras hakosef b'mazik shechayev kefi hashuma hapchusa ayin sham. And Rav Huna answered that you pay based on the lower estimation. If you're a damager, the Torah says you should pay based on the lower estimation. And he says, I refer you to that Gemara. We'll take a look at that the Gemara in just a moment. The cause of Hakol Eliyahu, Dahainu Dafka b'mazik. But then the Kol Eliyahu writes, that's only by a damager, not by a shomer. And there's a difference between a damager and a shomer. And this throws a little bit of a wrench into the car accident case. Aval b'shomer yi yechayev kamo shahaya ha'agil shaveh dahainu chamishim. But if I was in charge of watching over a piece of property, then you have to pay whatever it would have fetched, what its true full value was. The higher value. So, and therefore you have to pay the $50 to replace the earring in that case, and not just the $30. Now, so it's getting a little bit confusing. Let's take a look at that next piece of Gemara, and then we'll be done for the day. So it's just a page later on 59b in Bava Metzia. Wait a minute. Let me make sure that it's on 59b and not 59a. Yeah, it's 59b. Because we're getting into the Tanur Shel Achnai. Okay. No, it's not. It's not on 59b. I'll have to find the Gemara because we're out of time. But we'll continue this tshuva really to find the true value of what a damager and a shomer have to pay. Seem now to be two different values. So we're throwing a wrench in all of this stuff, guys. So we'll have to see. We have to continue this discussion in Mirz Hashem tomorrow. Okay.